I'm Brandon Ryan here from Roland, and happy to show you guys the new Aira products. So there are 4 products in the Aira line. There's the VT3 voice transformer over here to my left. In the middle is the TR8 rhythm performer, which you might visually get a cue from down here. You see it has all the original TR-808 colors. There's the TB3 touch bassline over here on the right-hand side. Loosely, well, in some ways very authentically modeled after, and then taking some wild divergences from the original TB303. And then also up here is the new System 1 plug-out synthesizer. So 4 products in the Aira line. They all look great, as you can see. They work together very, very nicely. And the way I've got everything basically hooked up is I'm running the TB3 into the TR8's external inputs. So it has a couple of inputs in the back that you can control right here from the external in, level and sidechain. And so it's actually, these actually work together from an audio, not just a MIDI synchronization standpoint, but also for audio as well. The VT3 voice transformer, I've got a mic plugged in, and then it's got its own audio outputs. It has phantom power as well. And then the System 1 is also plugged in. We're basically running everything just into a studio capture, and then you're hearing the stereo output. So basically, these are the 4 products, and they all run under a technology called analog circuit behavior. So that's what's actually making the sound in these products. And it's a new modeling technology developed by Roland over the past period. And so it is not sample-based. It is not supernatural. It's something entirely new. And what happens is that every component, let's say we take a TR-808, for instance, we model every single component in a pristine unit, every circuit down to the circuit level. Model that in software and its behavior under every circumstance. And then if you do that for every circuit in a TR-808, you put it together, turn it on, you got a TR-808. In all the senses where people tend to, what they want out of analog tends to be the ability to have everything have a one-to-one relationship, be really immediate, to work smoothly. When you turn a tuning knob or something, you want to hear it immediately. You don't want any aliasing or stepping or anything like that. And these totally deliver on that promise. So let's talk about the VT3 voice transformer real quick. Okay, so just bypassing, this is my normal voice. And everything is standard. This thing is really designed for vocalists, venturous vocalists, or guys who are DJs and these to drop in, vocal effects and things. Cool things about it. So I can switch this little dial to these various characters of voice. If I go into direct, this is direct. I can give myself a little reverb if I want. I can also adjust pitch and format, so I can be a little smaller or a little bigger, and it works very, very smoothly, as you can hear, so you can adjust your pitch and format very, very easily. It also will do things like hard tuning sounds, so you get kind of that tuning edge that we're used to in a lot of pop vocals. And also the vocoder, and this is the classic vocoder by your command, that vocoder, and you can adjust pitch real easily and get kind of that sort of zippery, Daft Punk type sound, so that's real easy to do. So I can make my voice a synth, or I can just add a subtle little bit in the background. Lead sounds. Human theremin. Bass sound. Bass radio. This is a bass sound. Bass. And then the megaphone.
So this is a pitch down megaphone effect. And you notice though, of course, versus using a real megaphone on stage, there will be
we don't have to worry about any distortion
or anything like that, so we can get big voice of the aliens megaphone sound. This is the radio sound.
We are on the radio. Hello, can you come in? 1, 2, 1, 2. We are on the radio sound.
And then this is called a scatter effect. So this will basically slice up the voice, cut it up, and it is touch sensitive as well. So if we talk long or short, depending on what happens, it will make different kinds of sounds. You can also kind of tap on the mic and make it do odd stuff as well. So that's the voice transformer, and of course, it can be used in conjunction with all of this stuff. Let's go over to the TR8. So this is one of the pieces most people are very, very interested in, and let's show you what it can do. So the idea is that it is a TR808 and a TR909 in one box. So it makes TR808 and TR909 sounds, very authentically modeled. I know I could say that, it doesn't mean anything unless you hear it. It sounds basically exactly like an 808 and a 909, but you can mix the sounds. You have more control over the sounds than we originally had, so you've got tuning and decay on every single instrument. Easy to mix up the various instruments, and also for volume, you notice that the volumes have sort of DJ-style playable faders, which makes this thing really that much more fun to play and like an instrument itself. There's also built-in reverb and delay, which are per step, which I'll show you in a second. There's external input, where the TB3 is actually plugged into quarter-inch inputs in the back. I can control its level, and there is a sidechain compressor right here that also is per step. There is tempo control here, and we also have fine tempo control, so you can get very, very detailed if you're playing with live musicians or turntables or things like that. There's tap tempo. There's really, really nice shuffle, negative shuffle as well. It sends or receives MIDI clock, so it can drive things like Ableton Live or Tractor or respond to their timing changes as well. And it has the original way that you would program a TR-808 or a 909, which, as you probably know, kind of has become the de facto standard for step sequencing. That's how we step sequence, is basically from the TR-808, 909, the 16 steps. Very iconic. So let's take a listen just to the stock 808. Tune down a little bit. Less attack, longer decay, more compression. Short compression. Now tune it while you're listening. Shorter decay. Real clicky. Now sometimes people pull an 808 out of a box, a real one, and they hear one, and that's what they hear, and they don't expect to hear an 808 sound like that. They usually expect it to have more this kind of sound. Now, for people who listen to a lot of rap and hip-hop, they expect a really long decay kick. So we've actually modeled that kick as well inside here, and I'll give you a listen. It'll go super, super low. If your system can handle it, it will go down as low as you can handle. Way different than, and you see when I stop it rings out, way different than a sample pack, way different than a lot of the virtual instruments out there. I'd venture to say any of them, because this is sort of cutting edge, high-end, component level modeling of pristine units from the company that originally made them. This is the real experience of having a unit. And it's even better, you could argue, because you're getting a modified TR-808 as well as a stock one, and you can't do that on eBay. And then things like pattern select, patterns are right here. So we're hearing this pattern. I want to go to a different pattern. Let's bring all our instruments in. Let's switch maybe over to a little bit of 909 kick. Let's hear the 909 snare. We didn't get to hear the 909 snare. And you notice things like the decay and the snappy control work on the 909 as well. And you can actually play the instruments live also. So if I go into my instrument select here, I maybe want to say instrument play, and I want to, there's some rolls here. We can do 8/16 16ths variations 1 and 2. So if I want to do like a snare roll, so real easy to do little quick rolls. Very simple. So and just quickly, let's talk about the scatter control. Scatter control allows you to basically glitch the pattern out, and by sort of chopping up, it takes a sample of the 16 steps and then basically mangles it, but you have control over it. It's not actually random, even though it might sound kind of random. So let's bring all the faders up. Let's find a little, like a 4 on the floor pattern here. Okay, so still a little bit of hybrid, but mostly 909. And now let's use the scatter. Okay, so let's pick probably we're gonna pick scatter 4. Now I'm just gonna work with the depth, so I can start out So you can make it real momentary. There's reverses and things as well. Some of the scatters, like this one, will just sort of mess with the pattern, but you can leave it running. So depending on where you hit it and how you do it. So this is taking just a segment, looping it around. And it also does really, really wild stuff, like I'm going to pick number 8. We'll start way over here. Now what's really cool is actually when you use the scatter control with the external input, which we do on the bass, and that brings us over to the TB3 Touch bassline. So this is obviously based off of a TB303, and the first thing we needed to get right was make sure that it had the classic 2 waveforms and the unmistakable characteristics of the filter, and also the way it sequences. So the reason a TB303 sounds the way it does is because the sequencer has these sort of slides and ties and accents and things that give it real character. So let's take a listen to it. So this would be pretty standard TB. And then we'll listen to the filters. I'm going to work the filters really slowly. That's that real rubbery sound it can get. Add a little bit more squelch to the filter. And if I wanted to, let's say, transpose that pattern, so using the touchpad, we can do it. Also, so you can use that instead of the original plastic keys to actually program new patterns on. Now, let's take a look at other ways that we can interact with this thing in the touchpad. So let's say we've got some kind of a sound here like this. So I can go into XY mode. Volume. So at any point you can get in there and play it like that. Also the envelope mode, like the decay you can control, and it sticks. So you change the behavior of the filter. Let's actually go on to the System 1 just for a second, and I'll show you actually what these do together, which is pretty cool. So the System 1, this is called a plug-out synthesizer. What is a plug-out synthesizer? So this thing, first of all, is a beautiful synth in and of itself. It uses analog circuit behavior. You notice it's a very knobby synth, as a lot of people say. Many knobs and sliders. I don't exactly even know how many. Cool effects like bit crushing. It does things like cross modulation, modulation sync, ring modulation, 2 different kinds of noise types, 12 dB and 24 dB low pass filters with their own dedicated high pass filters. Nice filter section, dual envelopes. I mean, it's a really, really powerful synth. Real quickly, let me just... It can sound very unashamedly synthish. You notice the filters are just super smooth. Really, really great. But one of the things it can do is it can control software synthesizers. So the idea is we will have, not even the idea, we will have a series of VST software synthesizers that will come out based again on ACB technology, and these will this will act as a controller for them. So you'll see perfect representation of the first one will probably be the SH-101. You'll see a perfect representation of an SH-101, and this will be the controller for it. Now you might ask yourself, well, an SH-101 is a single oscillator. This has got two. What happens to this? And what will happen is these controls will go dark. So it will act as a one-to-one controller with only the pertinent controls lit up to control that software synthesizer. So this can have its own sounds or the software synthesizer. Now, if that wasn't cool enough, what it can also do is you can actually take the plug-in and plug it out into the System 1. So you will then hit plug out, and you will be playing that software synthesizer, but hosted, resident inside of the System 1. So you can disconnect it from a computer, take it with you, and you can switch between the plug-in or plug out of your choice and the System 1 sound. So you basically have two synthesizers in one, but one of them can be defined by you, configured on the computer, and then dumped into the System 1. So let's see, what else can we do? Let's play with the TB3 and the TR8 together just a little bit. So let's find like some kind of ambient sound on here. I think there's one up around here. It's got this cool delay on it. Now, with like a 4 on the floor pattern, I'm going to turn all the faders down, right? So we're just going to get the sidechain compressor. So let's play them all together. So you hear it kind of pumping. Let's bring the kick. Now fully open, but pumping a little bit. It's just based on the kick drum. Let's go find a little more aggressive sound.